Hello and welcome to the latest news update on Canary News. In January, consumer prices in the United States experienced a significant uptick, marking a departure from recent efforts to curb inflation. The Consumer Price Index, which measures the average change over time in the prices paid by urban consumers for a basket of goods and services, surpassed expectations both on a monthly and yearly basis. This increase was observed across various sectors, including core measures that exclude volatile food and energy prices. A particular note was the substantial rise in prices within the services sector, which recorded its most significant increase in nearly 2 years. Additionally, the cost of shelter saw a notable escalation during this period. The unexpected surge in consumer prices has raised doubts about the possibility of immediate interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. Some policymakers are now inclined to delay any potential rate reductions until there is a broader easing of price pressures across the economy. Following the release of this data, the stock market, as reflected by the S&P 500, experienced a decline, while Treasury yields rose. Investors adjusted their expectations regarding the timing of rate cuts, with the likelihood of a cut in March being downgraded to nearly zero. While many analysts still maintain that inflation is on a downward trajectory overall, they suggest that the January inflation spike may not necessarily affect the Fed's preferred inflation measure, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index. Kathy Jones, chief fixed income strategist at Charles Schwab, believes that the Fed is likely to interpret the data as a reason to delay rate cuts until later in the year. She notes that a significant portion of the inflation increase can be attributed to rising housing costs. The rise in consumer prices was driven by increases in various sectors, including food, car insurance, and medical care. However, there were some positive developments for consumers, such as a significant monthly decrease in used car prices, the largest drop since 1969. Additionally, prices of goods and energy continued to decline, although policymakers remain concerned about the concentration of disinflation in specific categories. Looking ahead, economists emphasize the importance of sustained moderation in housing costs to achieve the Fed's target for core inflation. The upcoming release of the Producer Price Index will provide further insights into inflation trends, with several categories influencing the calculation of the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index. Fed officials will closely monitor these inflation reports before their next policy meeting in March. However, indications suggest that they are likely to maintain the current interest rate amid the strength of the U.S. job market and modest wage growth outpacing inflation. In other automotive news, Chinese auto parts manufacturers are rapidly establishing plants on the outskirts of Monterrey, Mexico, to supply Tesla Incorporated's forthcoming factory, igniting concerns in Washington. CEO Elon Musk has reportedly invited Chinese suppliers to Mexico to replicate the local supply chain established at Tesla's Shanghai plant. This move is part of Tesla's plan to construct a large-scale facility in Nuevo Leon, where it intends to produce a more affordable next-generation electric vehicle, aided by substantial local government incentives. The trend of Chinese-owned Mexican plants supplying auto parts to the U.S. is on the rise, with exports increasing to $1.1 billion in 2023. Despite apprehensions from U.S. officials, experts understand the appeal of tapping into China's well-established supply chain efficiencies. Chinese companies setting up operations in Mexico include Ningbo Tuopu Group, Shanghai Bayon Precision Automobile Component, and others, producing various automotive components like heating and cooling systems and metal parts. The trade war initiated by former President Donald Trump prompted Chinese investment in third-party countries like Mexico. Chinese industrial companies expanded their presence in Mexican industrial parks from 1.28 million square feet in 2019 to 9.31 million square feet by 2023. This development coincided with a decrease in direct Chinese exports to the U.S., while electric vehicles assembled in Mexico became eligible for a U.S. consumer tax credit under President Joe Biden's climate legislation. However, concerns have been raised about potential circumvention of U.S. trade policies, with Chinese-owned subsidiaries in Mexico possibly manufacturing EVs that qualify for U.S. tax credits. This has raised fears among U.S. EV manufacturers and government officials, especially considering China's growing dominance in the global EV market. In response, the Biden administration is evaluating strategies to address Chinese investments in Mexico strategically. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen visited Mexico to strengthen foreign investment screening, while policymakers are considering measures to mitigate potential threats posed by Chinese smart cars, including restricting imports. The situation underscores broader discussions about protectionism versus innovation in the automotive industry, with experts emphasizing the need for a balanced approach to maintain competitiveness while addressing legitimate concerns about national security and fair trade practices. That is all the time we have for today. Tune in again tomorrow for the latest news update. Remember to smash the like button and subscribe to our channel. This will allow our videos reach a wider audience. Thank you for tuning in.